So when it comes to improvising or learning to solo, a common path that people take is that they will learn how to play the pentatonic scales and they get their head around that, and then they kind of get sick of the sound a little bit. They want to add some more color into what they're doing, so they go ahead and they try learn the 7 modes of the major scale. Now, the problem is that learning those 7 modes can be very difficult. They have 7 notes in them as opposed to just 5 like the pentatonic scale. So trying to go in and memorize all these shapes and then actually being able to use these scales in a musical way can be quite a challenge if you don't want to play things that are just... Right, just I did that purposely bad, but like just playing through 3 note per string patterns is not the most musical thing in the world. The good news is though, if you've learned the pentatonic scale well, you've actually learned 5 of the 7 notes of all these modes, believe it or not. Okay, so you can use the pentatonics as your skeleton, and I'll show you what I mean. If we look at the minor pentatonic scale, the formula is 1 flat 3 4 5 flat 7. The reason why I wanted to show you this is, look, minor pentatonic has a 1, so do all the minor modes. Minor pentatonic has a flat 3, so do all the minor modes. They all have a 4, they all have a 5, they all have a flat 7. So to play the minor modes, we can use the minor pentatonic, and all we have to do is add either a 2 or a 6 to our minor pentatonic, and we can turn it into these more modal sounds. And the same goes with all the major modes and the major pentatonic, which, by the way, I am going to get to major harmony and the major pentatonic. There's been people asking, I will get to it, but just minor harmony seems to be more interesting for most people. So the major pentatonic, the formula for that is 1 2 3 5 6, and look, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, they all have a 1, they all have a 2, they all have a 3, they all have a 5, they all have a 6. So all we have to add is a 4 and a 7 to our major pentatonics to get the major modes. So in this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding a 2, so it would be the 2 from Dorian or Aeolian, to our minor pentatonic scale. But I don't even really want you to think of it as a mode. I want you to start trying to think of scale degrees as their own individual things. Like when I'm playing at this point, I don't think of scales. Really, I don't think of scales. I think of like individual tones, because then you can kind of mix and match and create your own sounds that aren't really scales in theory, like what we're about to do. Like the minor pentatonic with the 2 added isn't really a scale in of itself, but it's a really awesome combination of notes. And without any further ado, let me show you what that actually sounds like. So I'll just loop this. Right, something in A minor. If I play a normal pentatonic scale, right, cool sound. Right, that's all good. It's good. Nothing wrong with pentatonics. But if I add a 2 to it, it's going to totally transform the sound. Right, so all I did was add 1 note over multiple octaves to that pentatonic scale, and now it sounds like something new, but I'm just using that minor pentatonic that I know so well as my skeleton. So let's get to how to actually do this. So if we look at my screen, I have these horizontal pentatonic shapes written up in the same format that I did with the video where I explained how to play pentatonics all over the fretboard, which you should watch before you watch this. I'll put a link in the description, otherwise this is going to probably make no sense. But if we look at these here, what I've done is the light blue notes would be all your 2s, okay, within those horizontal shapes. So if I go back to a clean sound, if we're in the key of A, I line up the root note or the note with R in the middle in that top diagram with the A, then I can play this note 2 frets back and back to that root note. Now our first 2 is here, then we go across through here, right, going through the shape. Now I'm on the root note on the 7th fret of the D string, then I have another 2 here, I go across to the 5th fret of the G, 7th fret of the G. Now here, those pink notes, again, if you've watched the video, you'll know, these are just added in as like position 1 of the pentatonic scale notes. So I can play there, here, 5th fret of the high E on that pink note, then I can play a 2 here, then the next note in the pentatonic scale, 2, if I go back down, but if I follow those blue notes, I can go horizontally over here, 8th fret of the B, now I'm on the root note, 10th fret of the B, then I can play this 2 over here, okay, then I go across to the 8th fret of the high E, 10th fret of the high E, then across to the 12. Okay, so that's where all those blue notes would be. Those 2s would be in the first horizontal shape. So if I just go through it a bit quicker, 2, slide across, 2, sliding across, 2. Right, I ignored the pink notes that time. We're just doing the horizontal shape. If I go backwards, right, so the 2 is a very colorful note. It's a very sweet kind of sound, and if we're thinking of the question and answer analogy, it's definitely more of a question. So practice adding that note into your horizontal pentatonic shape. Now let's move on. So the next diagram is just the same thing, and if we're building our horizontal shape from a root note on the A string, so we can cover more of the fretboard. So if we're on the second diagram, that R is the root note, and I line that up with the A note, which is the 12th fret of the A string. Now I have these notes back here, and my first 2 is over here. Alright, then I go to the 10th fret of the D, 12th, slide up, 12th fret of the G, 14th fret, another root note. Now I have a 2 here. Right, then the 13th fret, 15th fret. Now I could play this pink note here to get some pattern 4. This is pattern 4 of the pentatonic scale, right? Or I can slide across and end on this root note. The 2, back to the root note. So that's where those 2s are in the second shape. Now if we look at the bottom diagram, this is all of this stuff linked together. Again, same process as the other video. So if we start on this A note here, right down here on the fretboard, follow the blue dots, right, have the 2, keep going across, a 2 here, go across, 2 here. Then when I get to the top of the blue notes, the blue horizontal shape, I can either follow those pink lines, okay, or those, and that will be pattern 3 of the pentatonic scale. So I can go down, following the pink lines, right? I could add a 2 here on the 12th fret of the B, root note, following the pink lines. Then I can add a 2 again if I want, and now I'm in that second horizontal shape. So the idea of that is you can use pattern 3 of the pentatonic scale to link those 2 horizontal shapes together. Right, then I can keep going up. 2 on the 12th fret, sliding across on the orange notes. And if I want, I can go right across. Now I'm in pattern 1 of the pentatonic scale, but up an octave. Right, light blue note, the 2, root note, going down. Right, it's the first horizontal shape again, but up the octave. So that is where you would add in your 2s, okay, to your pentatonic scale. And yeah, if this didn't make any sense, I suggest again watching my other pentatonic scale video, because that will make this all click. Then you just add this note in. If I just get this loop going again, I'll just show you some more of it in context in those higher shapes. Get some drive. So I'll be using the orange notes. The 2. The 2. Slide across, up the octave. Right, so again, quite a cool sound. It still has a pentatonic-y vibe, but it's a bit more colorful. But in future videos, so I suggest you subscribe and stuff if you're more interested in these kind of things. We're going to be adding scale degrees to our pentatonic scale. So the next video will be a flat 2 to get a Phrygian sound, and then we'll be adding some 6s, some flat 6s. Then we'll do the same with the major pentatonics and all the major modes. And then by the end, you're going to be able to play all this modal stuff, and it's actually going to be musical, okay, because it's going to have these roots in the pentatonic scale. So make sure to subscribe if you do want to learn all that stuff. But thanks for watching.